What is happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. Now you guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely gonna want to check this one out. So we got that Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson bringing a firestorm of legal trouble onto himself as he continues his fight against Trump's efforts to clean up the crime and migrant crisis in his city, guys. And I'm excited to get into this one. So when I hop straight into it, all I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's hop straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
A change to how immigration laws are enforced could mean anyone arrested will remain detained until they are deported, but some attorneys are now pushing back. This week, the federal government said in court that since July, more than 1,800 people have been arrested in the Chicago area. But having their day in court is not a guarantee. The immigration court is convoluted. It does not fall under the judicial branch. It falls under the executive branch. Separate from criminal court, a person's rights are much more limited. ABC 7 Chief Legal Analyst Gil Sofer.
The proceedings in an immigration court, they're not criminal, they're civil. The question isn't whether someone has committed a crime. The question is whether they can be deported. And the rights are different.
Now, a new immigration court directive could keep people detained much longer before they're deported.
All right, folks, so we're seeing yet another major win come for Trump's Operation Midway Blitz over there in the city of Chicago, as we now have a judge ruling that illegal migrants that have been detained will remain in custody instead of being released back onto the streets to cause further harm and commit more crimes. And that's exactly how it should be. And piggybacking off this latest ruling is our border czar Tom Homan, with a warning of his own to illegal migrants here in our country, stating that if you're here illegally, you're not off the table.
And I said from day one, even though we prioritize public safety threats and national security threats, if you're in the country illegally, you're not off the table, especially for the 1.4 million illegal aliens who have final orders of deportation. They've had the due process at great taxpayer expense. They need to be prioritized too, because they're quick removals. When we find them and arrest them, they've already had the due process. We can move them in 24 hours. So the prioritization continues to be public safety threats, national security threats, those who had due process. But again, I'll say it again, if you're in the United States illegally, you're not off the table. You should leave on your own and give yourself an opportunity to come on the legal program. But if we have to seek you out and find you, if we find you in a sanctuary city because we're forced into the neighborhood to find the bad guy, and we find you, you may not be a public safety threat, but you're in the country illegally, you're going to be arrested, and you're going to be deported.
Sounds pretty straightforward to me. I mean, border czar Tom Homan lays it all out there. If you're here in this country illegally right now, you might as well self-deport while you're ahead, because if we catch you in this country, we're going to remove you, and you won't be allowed back, and that's just how the system works. Meanwhile, we've got that Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson tag teaming alongside Jasmine Crockett to label the Trump administration as prejudiced for the way that they've been labeling illegals in our country. I want you guys to see this.
We don't have illegal aliens. I don't know if that's from some sort of sci-fi message that you wish have had. Well, listen, the legal term for my people were slaves. You want me to use that term too? So look, let's just get the language right. We're talking about undocumented individuals that are human beings. The last thing that I'm going to do is accept the type of racist, nasty language to describe human beings.
Like, I'm going to just call a thing a thing. Like, this administration is racist. That he has always been a racist, and that is what we are enduring in this country. Let me give you some facts behind this racism, and they get mad when I say the things that I say, but I will not stop speaking the truth. Number one, I said that what we were experiencing in this country felt like what I would imagine slave patrols to look like.
And this narrative coming from Jasmine Crockett and Brandon Johnson is getting very old very quickly. They're trying to play that race card every step of the way, but I'll tell you right now, that card is played out. They ought to just give it a break, give it up, because no one's buying it any longer. And I want to flip over to a scoop that I found of Chicago women and how they're spending their days now. They're walking around apparently with whistles to alert folks of ICE activity in the area.
You guys do this, but we started implementing the whistle in Chicago, or at least northern Chicago and some of the northern suburbs of Chicago, to let people know that ICE is in the neighborhood. So if you blow it and it's like beep, 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 that means that ICE is close by. And if it's a long like beep, that means that someone's being detained. And this way it can be a community effort. People are giving them out in their little libraries. People have them on their front doorsteps. I highly recommend spreading the word. Stay safe out there, friends.
There's two federal charges that come to my mind when I see clips like these, and it's obstruction of justice, that's the first one, and then impeding of a federal operation. You cannot go out blowing your whistle, alerting folks to ICE operations in the area. I mean, this right here is committing a federal crime. These folks need to be held accountable. We need to draw the line, but this is just the beginning of alerting folks to ICE activity and doxing ICE agents. We now have that insane former mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, coming out saying that she's creating an app to reveal the location and the face, the identities of ICE agents in the communities.
We start the process of unmasking the agents. Even though they're wearing masks, every single one of them has a towel.
You say unmasking, they're going to say you're going to dox them, and that's why threats against them are up.
They are on public property, out in the open. We have an absolute right under our Constitution to be able to document what's happening. Every single one of those agents, height, weight, hair color, they wear their vests in a particular way. They're wearing insignias, even the masks that they wear, the shoes that they wear, the cars that they're driving. We have a right to compile that information and put together a profile of each of these agents that's alleged to have committed crime. This is not about doxing them. This is not about putting them in danger, and I'm sure we're going to hear that. But as residents of this city in the metropolitan area, we have a right to know who's doing what, and supposedly in our name, but we believe that they are committing crimes, and it needs to be investigated, and then let a grand jury, let the prosecutor make a determination.
How dumb could these folks truly be? That former mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, coming out of retirement to commit a federal crime, saying that she's now going to be releasing identities, creating profiles for ICE agents to release to the public so folks can be aware of who's arresting who in their community. This is absolutely absurd, and these folks need to be held accountable. And speaking of being held accountable, we got Borders Are Tom Homan quickly responding to this new ICE tracker app, essentially stalking federal agents, saying this will not be okay. They're going to be held accountable.
I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it because I truly believe it's a matter of time before an ICE agent's ambushed and killed. Because we're letting people know where enforcement activities are occurring. And they're looking for the worst of the worst. The last thing we want to do is give a bad guy, the worst of the worst, a heads up that ICE is down the street. This is going to get an officer killed. You know, I go to bed every night, and I pray for every man and woman of ICE and Border Patrol to go home safe to their families. I buried too many ICE agents in my career and Border Patrol agents. This has to stop. So Pam Bonnie's all over this. I know DOJ's all over this. We'll hold people accountable. This cannot happen. It's disgusting. I can't believe what's going on in this nation today. I wake up every morning in disbelief that people want to call the law enforcement officers the bad guys and the criminal public safety threats the victims. It's ridiculous. It's all upside down. But we're going to keep doing this job and keep President Trump's promise to American people to make this country safe again.
Tom Homan just breaking down the real on the situation. These folks need to be stopped. They're going to truly get someone hurt, seriously harmed behind their actions. They don't understand the crimes that they're committing. And instead of coming out and condemning these folks, they're now tracking down and doxing the location and identities of ICE agents. Mayor Brandon Johnson is now accusing the Trump administration of black babies being thrown in the back of vans, zip tied in the middle of the night as a result of ICE operations.
No one is going to convince me what the Trump administration is doing against black people and brown people can ever be justified. It is racist. When you have black babies being thrown in the back of vans, zip tied in the middle of the night, and masked men sticking guns in the faces of black and brown people, that is nasty, is vicious, is racist. Dr. King described it as an evil. Militarism and that formation is an evil.
It appears almost as if these Dems are wired and programmed to do nothing but lie, gaslight, manipulate, fearmonger, and play that race card, and it's not working anymore. We see straight through, and that's why a lot of folks like Tulsi Gabbard have walked away from the Democratic Party. They can't stand for this nonsense anymore.
It Jesse, reminds me of the reason why I and so many others have left the Democrat Party. When you look at this party that is more interested in protecting criminals, cartel members, gangs, those who are causing incredible harm, ravaging our communities across the country, than they are actually standing up for the victims. You see a party that in many cases celebrated the assassination of Charlie Kirk. You see a party now that is essentially putting the lives of our law enforcement and their families at great risk. This is not the values of our country. This is not the values of the First Amendment and peaceful protest. This is a party that's undermining the very foundation of our country and putting the American people at risk, which is why President Trump, throughout his entire campaign, he promised the American people, I will make America safe again. I will secure our borders, and I will go after these cartels and gangs who are terrorizing the American people.
And with the current position and climate that we're seeing the Democratic Party in their state, it is no surprise to me that we're seeing folks turning their backs and walking away from their parties because they cannot stand with that any longer. But guys, I want to leave you here with a very juicy nugget that I found from our friend Gunther Eagleman here on X. Retweeted out a breaking news headline saying that Pam Bondi has now launched investigation into Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Lori Lightfoot, that former Chicago mayor, and others for targeting ICE agents. It's time to drop that hammer. Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness, that Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson, better tread lightly with the things that he's been saying in his statements, the violence he's been promoting against ICE agents. Just not a good idea. He should not continue down this road that he's currently traveling, because we already know it's going to end up with him out of that office and probably being prosecuted. I mean, you cannot side with the violent criminals and folks that aren't even supposed to be in this country at all. It makes no sense why he allows and continues to condone this type of behavior from folks in Chicago, especially leadership. Continue to call out ICE agents that are simply just trying to do their job and clean up the streets of his city. Guys, definitely up in the comment section. I'm not sure how this one's going to end, but we're going to continue to follow any updates to come right here with your boy RetroStef, guys. But comment section open. I'm excited to hear what you guys are thinking on this one. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next week.